Dodge, Ram, and Jeep are in big trouble, and soon, Joe Biden administration might just shut them all down. The government just gave them a huge amount of money as a bailout, but that wasn't enough. Stellantis, home to all these three brands and more like Peugeot, is struggling. And to be honest, this might be the end for them. Let me explain. Why is this a big deal? The short answer is that sales are down. And now you might be thinking, isn't that just how the car world works? And you'd be right, sort of. The automotive industry is like a never-ending roller coaster ride. One minute you're cruising at the top and the next, you're plummeting down a steep drop. But low sales figures are actually indicators that there is something wrong at its core. These types of issues come from a deep-rooted cause. This is a huge company, and all the little things that happen there will have a domino effect on the entire industry that we need to talk about. And the competition? They're always right there in your rear-view mirror, ready to overtake. Stellantis knows this, and they have a plan, but it doesn't seem to be going well for them. And here is why. The new solution. You see, in the first quarter of 2024, Stellantis hit a pothole that sent their net revenues skidding down by a whopping 12%. We're talking a drop to 41.7 billion euros, still a mind-boggling amount of cash, but definitely not the direction they want to be heading. So what's a car giant to do when the road gets rough? It's time for some serious recalibration. Stellantis is being forced to make some tough calls. You see, the current strategy these companies are implementing is hurting them. These iconic brands are aiming for the fast lane of luxury. They're expanding their lineups fast, and they're not afraid to slap some serious price tags on their shiny new models. Take the Grand Cherokee, for example. At $67,000, this isn't your average family SUV. We're talking premium territory here, folks. This move towards fancier, pricier rides isn't just about showing off. It's a clever strategy to tap into a whole new market. Think about it, by aiming higher, Jeep and Ram are attracting a whole new crowd. People who want their vehicles to be as impressive at the valley line as they are on a muddy trail. There are folks out there who want the rugged coolness of a Jeep or the tough-as-nails reputation of a Ram, but with all the bells and whistles of a luxury ride. But here's the multi-million-dollar question. Will this gamble pay off? Can these rugged all-American brands successfully break into the luxury market? I don't have all the answers, but I know one thing for sure. What's at stake? One thing you need to understand is that this isn't just about selling expensive cars, it's about changing how people see these brands. When you start offering premium features and top-notch amenities, you're not just selling a vehicle anymore, you're selling an experience, a lifestyle. Think about it, when someone drops $67,000 on a Grand Cherokee, they're not just buying a car, they're buying into the idea of adventure, luxury, and capability all rolled into one sleek package. It's like having your cake and eating it too, but the cake is a high-end SUV, and eating it means conquering both city streets and mountain trails. So, what does all this mean for Stellantis? Well, it's a bit of like watching a high-stakes poker game. They're making some bold moves, pushing their chips into the center of the table with these upscale offerings. If it pays off, we could see Jeep and Ram rubbing shoulders with some of the fanciest names in the car world. As of now, this plan is not working. And the reason is plain and simple. Have you been feeling the pinch lately when it comes to buying a new set of wheels? Trust me, you're not alone. The cost of living crisis is hitting us all hard, and it's putting a serious dent in our car buying dreams. But instead of making their rides more wallet-friendly, Stellantis seems to be cruising in the opposite direction. Now, there are benefits to them that come with this. Stellantis can experience a higher profit margin on each of their cars, and they can lose some of the labor costs since they don't need to make that many cars in mass quantities anymore. And it is already happening. Although there are many factors at play here, Stellantis dropped a bombshell this year by announcing job cuts at several US factories. And we're not just talking about a few people here and there, this affected everyone, from the hardworking folks on the assembly line to the suits-up and the corporate offices. Even some big-shot executives got the boot. This makes you question, are they trimming the fat to pump more cash into their electric dreams? Think about it, Stellantis has set an ambitious target to make all its passenger car sales in Europe fully electric by 2030, while also aiming for 50% of their US sales to be electric. This isn't just a lofty goal, they're putting serious money into it, with plans to introduce an impressive 75 electric vehicle models by the decade's end. It's like they're trying to build the future of cars while simultaneously dismantling the present. But here's the thing, you can't make cars without people, right? Every time they show someone the door, that's one less pair of hands to build those shiny new vehicles, and without vehicles rolling off the production line, how are they supposed to make any sales? It's like they're stuck in a never-ending loop of no workers, no cars, no sales, and no money. And this is such a huge deal because on one hand, Stellantis is pushing hard for an electric future, but on the other hand, they're making it harder for the average person to even think about buying one of their cars. It's like they're building a bridge to the future but forgetting to include an on-ramp for most of us. And let's not forget about the impact on the workers and their families. Every layoff isn't just a number on a spreadsheet, it's a real person with bills to pay and dreams to chase. It's tough to see a company that's been such a big part of American automotive history making moves that leave so many people in the dust. Even the federal government's throwing a whopping $1.7 billion lifeline at Stellantis. That's right, $1.7 billion with a B. But is this cash injection enough to save the day, or is it just a drop in the oil pan? Well, we need to talk about this in detail, so let's do it now. The possible future. Think about it, from rugged Jeeps to tough-as-nails Rams, even the family-friendly Pacifica, they're all taking a hit. It's like watching your childhood heroes stumble, isn't it? Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of car companies, I picture sleek assembly lines and shiny showrooms. But right now, Stellantis is facing a mountain of challenges that would make Everest look like a speed bump. We're talking economic headwinds, shifting consumer preferences, and a tech revolution that's turning the industry on its head. It's enough to make your head spin. And this government bailout is like throwing a life preserver at a struggling swimmer. The feds are hoping this cash will keep Stellantis afloat and save jobs. But is it enough? Or are we just delaying the inevitable? And while Stellantis is battling to keep its head above water, there's a bigger issue at play. It's like they're trying to sell ice cream in a world that's suddenly gone dairy-free. What consumers really want are affordable, quality cars, just like they did with good old-fashioned combustion engines. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for saving the planet, but when small SUVs, medium SUVs, trucks and vans are all struggling, is pushing pricey eco-friendly options still really the answer? They're following Europe's lead, which is great if you're cruising down the streets of Europe. But the last time I checked, we're in North America, folks. We've got vast distances that would make a marathon runner weep in weather that changes often. Is an all-electric future really the answer here? Think about it, you're on a road trip through the Rockies. Your EV's battery is running low, and the next charging station is 100 miles away. Suddenly, the gas-guzzling SUV doesn't seem so bad, does it? Look, it's not as simple as choosing between chocolate and vanilla ice cream. There are so many factors at play here. Consumer preferences, infrastructure challenges, and let's not forget the almighty dollar. When you start thinking about it, you start to question if government bailouts are the answer or just a band-aid to a bigger problem. Some industry insiders are whispering that this electric gamble could be the final nail in Stellantis' coffin. And I just told you about half of the issues. You see, Stellantis is juggling 14 different car brands, from Jeep to Maserati. They've got quite the lineup. Imagine trying to give each of these brands an electric makeover without losing their mojo. And the thing is, these brands don't have a clear identity anymore. Take Fiat, for example. We love those cute little Italian cars, but slap a battery in there and suddenly, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry. It's a tightrope walk and Stellantis needs to nail it or risk falling flat on their face. But there's more to this electric puzzle. Ever heard of range anxiety? It's that pin in your stomach when you're on a road trip, your battery's running low, and the next charging station is nowhere in sight. Stellantis is pumping money into building charging stations quickly, but will it be enough? I mean, they're struggling themselves. How can they make this possible? Now, don't get me wrong, Stellantis isn't just twiddling their thumbs, they've got the cash. They've got the commitment, and they've even got some pretty sweet electric rides already cruising the streets. But here's the million-dollar question. Can they find that perfect balance? Can they rise up to the occasion? If you ask me, they're already failing. It is like they've lost their edge, and let me tell you why I'm saying that. Battles and wounds. If you didn't know, let me tell you, EV manufacturers are in the middle of a price war that's making the Wild West look like a tea party. It's like being in a gladiator arena, but instead of swords, they're wielding price tags. It's a dog-eat-dog world where profit margins are thinner than the paint on a cheap car. Stellantis is trying to dance on this razor's edge, balancing between staying in the game and not bleeding money. Talk about a tightrope walk without a safety net. The big names are caught in a classic catch-22. They're relying on their gas-guzzling cash cows to fund their electric dreams, but those EV ventures are burning through cash fast. It's like trying to build a spaceship while still selling horse-drawn carriages. Not exactly a smooth transition. And while everyone else is struggling to keep their heads above water, Tesla's out there doing backflips of the high dive. How, you ask? Well, they've got a secret weapon that's making other automakers grin with envy. You see, Tesla's whipping up EVs like they're flipping burgers, spending about $30,000 per cars on things like gas, battery packs, wheels, and tires. Meanwhile, other EV makers are shelling out $17,000 or more per car for the same stuff. That's like paying for a steak dinner when Tesla's getting the same meal at a fast food joint price. No wonder they're laughing all the way to the bank. But wait, it gets better or worse depending on which team you're rooting for. Tesla's not just saving money, they're wielding their cost advantage like Thor's hammer in the EV market. They're slashing prices left and right, leaving other automakers scrambling. Remember early 2023, Tesla dropped their prices by up to 20% in some models. It was like Black Friday came early, but only for Tesla fans. For everyone else, it was more like Black Monday. Profit margins got squeezed harder than ever, and it wasn't just the automakers feeling the pinch. Suppliers found themselves caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to juggle new EV programs, old-school combustion engines, and those in-between hybrids. So what's a traditional car company to do in this electrifying chaos? They're pulling out all the stops, folks. We're talking incentives that will make your head spin faster than a Tesla's wheels, rebates that will have you doing a double take, and pricing strategies so aggressive they should come with a warning label. But here's the million-dollar question. At what cost? Stellantis, our plucky underdog in the story, is feeling the pinch. Their wallets screaming loudly. It's one of the reasons why they're going for those high-end pricing tactics. Desperate times call for desperate measures, right? Think about it, you're slashing prices left and right, but making these high-tech marvels isn't getting any cheaper. It's like trying to fill a bathtub while the drain's open, exhausting and ultimately pointless. This financial squeeze is putting the brakes on Stellantis' ability to invest in the future, and in an industry that moves fast, falling behind in R&D is like showing up to a drag race in a horse and buggy. This price war isn't just hitting Stellantis in the wallet, it's messing with everything. Let's break it down. The aftermath. Ever felt like you're getting less bang for your buck these days? This price war we've been talking about? It's not just about numbers on a sticker, it's shaking up the very DNA of the cars we all know and love. Now you might be eyeing that shiny new car, all sleek and loaded with gadgets. But what if I told you that under that glossy exterior, there might be a few corners cut? Yeah, it's like expecting a gourmet burger but getting a fast food patty and a fancy wrapper. Sure, you saved a few bucks, but at what cost? Some experts in the industry are saying Stellantis needs to ditch the whole race to the bottom price game. According to them, these guys have a rich history, design that'll make your jaw drop, and quality that'll make your mechanic lonely. That's their secret sauce, and they should be shouting it from the rooftops. And guess what? They're doing just that. Ever heard of the Jeep Compass? The base model, a North Edition 4x4, will set you back a cool $47,000. I don't know about you, but that's not exactly pocket change. And if you're feeling fancy and want to go green with the Wrangler Rubicon 4xe, I hope you've got $85,100 lying around for that plug-in hybrid experience. Even our old friend the Durango is getting in on this high roller action. The RT all-wheel drive model with its beefy 5.7-liter Hemi engine starts at $71,900, and if you really want to splurge, the Grand Cherokee L Summit Reserve 4x4 can easily hit $110,000 with luxury tax. Stellantis is betting big in their good name, but in today's wild market, is that enough? It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Impressive, but maybe not quite up to the task. Think about it, Stellantis has been serving up a mixed bag lately. Take Dodge, for example. These muscle cars are like the underdogs in a boxing movie, defying expectations and punching above their weight class. According to J.D. Power, Dodge is actually beating the industry average for dependability. We're talking 172 problems per 100 vehicles compared to the industry's 186. Imagine cruising down the highway in your Dodge Charger, that iconic Hellcat Hemi growling under the hood, and knowing you're less likely to end up on the side of the road. Sounds pretty sweet, right? But hold your horses, because the story doesn't end there. Dodge might be the cool kid in the Stellantis family, but they're still playing catch-up with the competition. Brands like Kia and Toyota are consistently acing their reliability tests. And let's not forget Lexus, the valedictorian of dependability, with a mind-blowing 133 problems per 100 vehicles. That's like automotive nirvana right there. Even on home turf, Dodge is trailing behind Chevrolet in the reliability race. And if Dodge is a star student, Ram is more like the solid B student, not failing, but not exactly making the honor roll either. They're hovering just below the class average with about 189 problems per 100 vehicles. Not terrible, but not exactly something you'd brag about at the truck shop. And then there's Jeep. These are the ones who can take it all. Wranglers are legendary for conquering terrain that would make a mountain goat nervous. But here's the kicker, all that off-road prowess comes at a price. Jeep owners seem to have this unspoken pact, they'll put up with a few headaches for the joy of going absolutely anywhere. But lately, it seems like Jeep's been pushing that loyalty to the limit. They recently had to recall over 211,000 SUVs and pickup trucks. Why? A software glitch in the electronic stability control system. It's like having a superhero costume with a faulty cape. It looks great, but might let you down when you need it most. So this idea that their cars will be selling like hotcakes just because of their name is an old tale. But what do you think? Let's know in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.